these guys really closely, and the goal was to say, look, we're good partners. Rolling over a car is something that really happens. Let us simulate it to the full degree.
All right, so tell me where we are here. What are we looking at?
You're looking at one of our new tracks. It's in Montserrat, Spain. It shows off the capability of our new graphics engine. So you're seeing long draw distances, high level of detail on the rocks. You've got bump mapping on the road edge. As he comes out of the light here, you're going to see a lot of HDR lighting as the light kind of brightens up and then darkens back down again.
Okay. And so this is a fictional track, though. It's a real location, but a fictional track, right?
Correct. We actually went to Montserrat to capture the look and feel of the place. We took thousands of photographs, did aerial photography. But when it came down to it, we wanted to design a track that would work well for all cars. Most real racetracks work well for high-speed cars, but if you're going to take like a Honda Civic or a Nissan Sentra or something like that on the track, you need more turns, you need more action.
Right. And so I know you guys have several versions of this track playable. Can you give me an idea of the different kinds of the flavor of the different layouts that you have?
Yeah, the story behind this track, and that's something we actually do with all of our original tracks. We have the artists actually pitch the track with a story. Who bought it? Who owned it? When did they build it? Why did they build it? How is it used? Because then we can hold the team accountable to building that fiction into the track. So this course is our old course. And the idea is that it was built as a mountain road originally, and then some rich guys back in the 60s took it over and actually turned it into kind of a racetrack they could race on. It's not safe by any means, right? You've got these guardrails, these long cliffs, so you'd never get the FIA to approve a track like this. But even so, it's a really fun track, more like the Nürburgring, very twisty. You can feel the danger because the guardrails are right there.
And something that you and I were talking about last night is that with these fictional tracks, it gives you a little bit more leeway to create fun moments, right? You have these jumps, you have these elevation changes. Can you talk about the approach of creating these tracks?
Yeah, even that starts with sort of the fiction that came behind the track. So the idea that this was a mountain road, it's had bits eroded, so the pavement's really cracked, and that creates little jumps. That was a big deal to this track in general.
All right, we're getting a look at the cockpit view there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the cockpit view is very immersive, and again, we've captured all the instruments and how they move.
First place. I would expect nothing less from you, sir. So obviously people want to know about handling cars, physics obviously being very important to the Forza series. A lot of people felt that the Forza 2 engine was an incredible driving engine. The cars felt great. When you sat down to look at Forza 3, what was the first area you wanted to improve?
First area I always look at is tires. Tires are the foundation of making a great simulation, and we were already pushing the boundaries of what we could do with tires, and for this version we took it to a new level. We now feature tire deformation, which is when you're loading up a tire and you're carving your way through a corner, the sidewall actually deforms as the tire rolls over itself. We feature that in the game. That's a big deal. It's really hard to do, but to me, it's those intangibles you have to do to get a simulation right.
So if I'm playing Forza and I played Forza 2 and I'm now in Forza 3, what does that feature do for me? How will the car feel different to me if it's been a while since I played the game?
This is what's really cool. It's so dynamic. So based on the height of the sidewall and how sticky the tire is, what the compound of the tire is, what's the load of the car and where is it distributed, and even how you load up the rear suspension versus the front suspension, it's going to flex that tire and give you more slip angle in that tire. So really high sidewall tire that's kind of a poor rubber. As you load up that tire, the front's going to feel really sloggy. It's not going to really, snap to. But if you got a really low profile tire, it's going to stay very rigid. And so bang, 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 as you're steering left and right, it's just going to snap along with you. It's very cool. So like a Lotus Elise and a classic, like British sports car, they could be the same weight, and they would feel 100% different in how the steering responsiveness is.
All right, shall we dive into another race? You want to show something else? While we're doing that, let me take a couple questions from the audience, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course.
All right, so Giovanni Benitez from Corzal wants to know about the obvious question, what customization? Obviously, Forza 2, you had the paint job, could do whatever, but what will you do in Forza 3?
It's a great question. It's a hallmark of this series. We're not just pushing the racing genre, we're pushing the entire games industry and what you can do with UGC. On the car side, we've got 50% more upgrades. We got more upgrades than any other game. So now it's not just engine swaps, it's drivetrain swaps, it's sway bars. You can do everything to the car. But on top of it, you know, obviously paint jobs is a big deal to our game. And I'm not going to announce the improvements, but what I will say is how we distribute. And that's what UGC is all about. It's not about making you more creative or me more creative, because I can't do that. What it's about is taking the truly disruptively creative people and empowering them. And the rest of us, you and I, we turn into consumers. So we tune in every week to see what's Little Vixen putting on the auction house now. Well, now we're doing scoreboards, painter scoreboards, tuner scoreboards, director scoreboards, driver scoreboards, social coordinators. We're just trying to say, hey, these really creative people, and they're all in different disciplines, there's reasons for you to tune in every single week to see what are these people doing now. I mean, they're always doing something shocking.
And you sort of hinted at during the presentation that there's going to be some sort of video editor, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about that?
I'll tell you a little bit about it, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a really cool feature. So we had like Project Blackjack on Forza 2, and those guys were making this machinima, you know, little drift videos, and they were really cool, telling little drift stories. Well, they had to do that with capture cards, and they needed Premiere and all of this. What we've done is said, hey, whenever you're in a replay, at any point, whether it's an online replay that you've captured or what have you, you can export that replay to a WMV and then upload it to ForzaMotorsport.net, download it, put them together, do whatever you want with them. What I'm expecting, though, is, again, if you look at the Project Blackjack videos, which, you know, they're all over YouTube, they've been really heavily downloaded, take that to the next degree. When you can empower more creators, they're gonna go out. It's gonna go crazy.
It's definitely amazing to see what people came up with just the very simple in, I guess, concept paint shop tools that were in the previous game. I can't wait to see what people do with the video. It's going to be incredible. Let's take a couple more questions about the game. Shane from, let's see, from Middleton Cork, Ireland.
I was going to say Che from the couch next to me. I was
different
like, oh,
guy.
he's slick.
He wants to know about the AI in the game. What have you done this time around?
Well, it's still based on our Drivatar AI system, which is a pretty unique way of building AI because it's much more humanistic. But in this version, they actually respond to the player with a pressure system. So if you've been pressuring the AI through multiple corners, the AI is going to make mistakes. And the easier the difficulty level you are on, the more likely they are to make those mistakes. So you're on the hardest difficulty level, they're going to make as many mistakes as Michael Schumacher. Very rare, right? You're on an easier difficulty level, they're going to make the type of mistakes I do when I race online, which is when I've got a really fast guy behind me, I'm always like, I'm going to beat him on this corner, I'm going to, you know, and I end up going off. And
there's always a corner that you're no good at, right? And you always get caught out there. At least that's for me, I don't know. So speaking of that, online racing, what can you tell us about online? Obviously, it's still going strong. People still playing Forza 2 online. What are you doing this time around?
Well, you know, we're adding the ability for people to create their own types of races and go really deep there. We're not talking a lot about it, but there's the ability to take new rules and combine them and make new race types in general. But what it all comes down to is the variety. The variety of the cars with the variety of the rules allows you to make new race types that we can't even imagine. So